Hello again. When a person is on the waiting list for a council house in London, the usual rule is that if the offer of a place is turned down, then the local authority is no longer obliged either to keep you on the list nor to keep paying for your temporary accommodation. You have become intentionally homeless. If you are fussy about what you're offered, you're probably not homeless at all or in need of a council house. In the description to this video, I give a link to a typical policy of a London local authority, that of Hounslow. Under the heading of refusal of a direct offer, it says that if you refuse an offer, you may be suspended from the housing register for 12 months and no offers will be made during this time. If you have a homeless application with us which has been accepted, we may end our housing duty to you. This could result in your eviction from any temporary accommodation we have arranged for you. Quite right too. I think most people in London realise this and know the rules. At the moment, the government is shelling out something like £5 million a day of our taxes to pay for refugees and asylum seekers to stay in hotels, quite a few of them in London. This is a shocking expense, and working with local authorities across the country, the government has been trying to move refugees out of the hotels and into permanent homes. In other words, houses and flats of their own. What could they ask for more? They are meeting with determined resistance, though, from the refugees themselves. In the description to this video, I give a link to a news item on the matter. Westminster Council, who are stuck with many of these people, compiled a report on the situation which has recently come to light. We read that 24 accommodation offers have been rejected by families, representing potentially another 100 plus people who could have moved to their own homes. Now, of course, we cannot apply the same rules to foreigners as we do to our own citizens. That would be racist or something. Why don't these people wish to move out of their hotels? Well, some of the homes offered are not in London, and these people do not wish to integrate into ordinary British communities. They would rather stay in little ghettos in London. We read too that Nasima Karima, who works at the British Embassy in Kabul, but also lives in London, I don't know how she manages that job, believes there are various reasons why refugees would reject offers. Miss Karima, who is in the process of becoming a British citizen, said, "Most people are used to this place. They are familiar with London. It's easy to get a job and people have built relationships with other people here." She added that families feared being split up. "The accommodation is not enough for families of 7 or 8 people," she said. Getting sent out of London, in places like Scotland, people are struggling because they do not know anyone. Nobody is sending any of these people anywhere. They are free to go wherever they please. We're not detaining them or forcing them to go anywhere. I'm sorry that the homes being offered are not big enough for 8 people to share a house. But again, most of us have families according to our means. I would have liked to have a dozen kids, but I wouldn't have been able to support them all. So we limited ourselves to what we could actually afford. If these people were genuine refugees, that is to say, people who were seeking safety and shelter, then they would surely be grateful for the offer of a home in this country. If I was a refugee and Italy offered to take me in and house me, I would not refuse a house in Florence just because I would rather have one in Rome. That would be absurd. It seems that the Home Office is set to lay out a formal policy to deal with refugees rejecting offers of a home soon. As it happens, I'm footing the bill for this business through my taxes. Never mind setting out a formal policy, why not apply the same rules to foreigners as we do to our own people? Refuse an offer of housing, and you are then considered to be intentionally homeless. The more that people are distributed around the country, the more chance there is of their learning English and integrating into the ways of this country, rather than forming separate and self-contained communities where they only mix with others of the same nationality. We really must be the biggest bunch of mugs in the world in this country.